Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I once ate a whole pack of Micro Machines.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss The Usual Suspects, which came out in 1995 from director Bryan Singer. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, we follow Verbal Kint, played by Kevin Spacey, who has been arrested and is being interrogated about an explosion that has happened on a boat at a dock in San Pedro, California. The agent that is interrogating him is trying to get as much information out of him regarding Keaton, played by Gabriel Byrne, who he believed masterminded the whole attack on the boat and is actually an underground crime lord called Keyser Söze. But as the story develops, we realise that Verbal may be hiding more secrets than he's letting on.
I loved how this film came together. Bryan Singer always had Kevin Spacey in mind, because Kevin Spacey approached Bryan Singer after he'd finished his last film and said, "You are a talented director, put me in your next film." And so The Usual Suspects was also written with Kevin Spacey in mind, playing the character that he does play.
Yeah.
Of course, Bryan Singer also really wanted Gabriel Byrne to be in the film, but Gabriel Byrne was sort of having some personal issues at the time, and even though he accepted, he also then declined the part. And so Bryan Singer was like, no, this is not happening. You're going to be in my movie, and if I have to pick up the production and shift it from New York to LA to film it, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And Gabriel Byrne just, next to Kevin Spacey in this film, just shines. Gabriel Byrne has always been a phenomenally nuanced character actor.
Yeah.
Who's pulled off some amazing roles. And, for the most part, he's also had some really terrible roles, which his career is it's never reached the true heights that I think it could have done.
Yeah.
But The Usual Suspects is definitely up there with one of his best performances. Rounding out the cast, we also have Chazz Palminteri, who plays Detective Dave Cujon.
Cujon, yeah.
Yeah. We've got Benicio del Toro, who plays Fenster.
Yeah.
Now, Benicio del Toro, again, was pretty much, wasn't as huge an actor as he is today. This is one of his earliest roles. And the part that he plays is pretty much a throwaway character.
Yeah, yeah.
And he brings so much life to this character.
Yeah, he wanted to give himself an accent that made his character stand out above everybody else, because he knew that his character was going to disappear halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
How many keys, you cocksucker?
In English, please.
Excuse me.
In English.
How many fucking keys, you cocksucker? What the fuck?
I like the fact that because he changed the dialect of his character, and because a lot of the actors were told to ad-lib certain scenes,
yeah.
A lot of the times when Fenster would say something, the other characters would be like, "What the fuck did he just say?" And those were ad-libbed. It was not in the script, but it just worked. So it just went in there. And so it just goes to show the strength of Del Toro here. We also have Stephen Baldwin, who plays McManus.
Yes.
And this guy is a bit of a lunatic in the film, and he's got a bit of a reputation outside of film for being a little bit off-kilter. Baldwin, while making this film, decided he was going to remain in character, in and off set. And he really aggravated and annoyed some of the other actors in the film, to the point where two of them had a huge falling out whilst making this film. And, of course, we have Kevin Pollak, who has been in a lot of films, a lot of TV shows. He always seems to play a criminal.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he played a cop with Gabriel Byrne in End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, but he was a corrupt cop.
Oh, yeah.
Who ended up coming back to life as a devil worshipper.
Yeah. And there's even lots of great supporting actors in the film. There was one guy I recognised from Marvel's Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
He was a doctor who literally had one line in the whole film.
Is he talking?
He regained consciousness less than an hour ago. He spoke not English, then he lapsed.
Hungarian.
I don't know, I think that might have been what it was.
Yeah, most of them were Hungarians.
Here, you gotta put on one of these.
Burn victims are very susceptible to infection.
I remember seeing this film for the first time years ago, and I'd seen the poster a lot. Like Gary said, you just see that lineup, and if you've seen the film, you know what it is. But when you're new to it, you're like, criminals, is it going to catch my attention? Yes. Yes, it will, because the opening is just mesmerizing. I mean, you've got Gabriel Byrne sat there, on a boat, looking injured, smoking a cigarette. He drops it onto the gasoline. It starts a fire, and then somebody pisses on it, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
Such an unusual start.
Yeah. And then we watch this shadowed character climb down to face Keaton's character. Keaton kind of gets this look on his face, like a bit of a shock or realization. And then he's killed, and the boat explodes. And we cut then to Verbal Kint, Kevin Spacey, detailing all of the stuff that he's gone through to, I think it's the district attorney, the DA of New York or LA. And it just sets up this whole, I don't know, if maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like one of those old school detective stories,
Oh, absolutely.
I remember ages ago we did the Maltese Falcon, and obviously you've got the Sinatra's Private Eye. I got the same kind of thing from this, especially with Agent Cujon. He's investigating. He wants the big prize, which is Keaton, and he will go to any lengths to get this information. So when he reluctantly manages to convince the commissioner or the chief of police to let him just sit Verbal down and start talking to him, I'm going to be all nice. And I'm like, no, you're not, because you're a cop. And we know what cops are like. And I love the fact that it's not disjointed. Some films, if it flicks back 6 weeks or it cuts to a couple of days and it goes to present day and back and forth, it always feels disjointed and you're like, where am I? But in this film, it sets up so well that if you're in the office with Verbal, you're in present day. And if you're with Verbal and the gang, it's in the past.
A lot of actors actually turned down roles in this film, including Michael Biehn.
Wow.
Who looked at the script and just went, this doesn't make any sense, so no, I'm not going to do the film. And
Mistake.
of course, he went on record and saying, yeah, I made a mistake there.
Yeah.
But you can understand, Kevin Spacey, when he got the script, he had to read it several times to go, I think I get it now. And it doesn't help matters that the director, Bryan Singer, turned to all the cast and said, you're going to be Keyser Söze. You're Keyser Söze. You're Keyser Söze. And the film builds up this myth of this character, Keyser Söze, who is responsible, is the head of, I don't know, crime. He's a phantom. He's a ghost story to scare all criminals.
Yeah.
And so Singer has told every character in the film that you are that character, just to give them that extra bit of oomph to their performance, because that they all think then that they are this kingpin.
Yeah.
And so the script is quite confusing because you don't know who Söze is. You only have Kevin Spacey playing Verbal Kint's recollection of events that occurred. And the film does jump back in time quite a lot before it jumps back to present. And the film transitions this beautifully. It's almost one of the best films ever that I can think of that deals with jumping through time and yet remaining consistent to the point where if you're watching the film, you shouldn't lose track of it at all. It really is not that complicated. And if it does become overly complicated for you, then I think you can start losing out on the nuances of the film, which would be a shame.
I wouldn't say it's difficult to keep hold of this film. You are sitting down to watch a crime thriller. If you're a fan of crime thrillers, be prepared, because it's going to go there's going to be twists and turns and all that kind of stuff. Same as any crime thriller, because the criminals are really technically out for themselves. But what really, really, I think, keeps people's attention in this film is, like we said, the interaction of the actors. After the lineup and they've gone into the holding cell and the five of them are just sat down, that scene is just brilliant. Like we said, we've got Del Toro's strange accent English. You've got Pollock's I don't give a fuck about anybody's attitude. You've got McManus's I'll kill you all if I really have to, just to fucking keep myself alive. You've got Keaton's everybody stay away from me, I'm trying to go straight fucking attitude. And then you've got Verbal Kint. And you look at him, Kevin Spacey with the twisted hand and the gimp leg, and just the way he carries that throughout the film. You look at him and you say, right, he's got a weakness. But he knows he's got a weakness, and he won't allow that weakness to actually be a weakness. He uses it for a strength. And you start to think, hold on a minute, how did they all get here? Right, a truck of gun parts was stolen. Who did it? Well, all of them technically have the potential to do it. Keaton, though, he's the one who stands out. He's a corrupt cop who was being investigated for 7 years, who potentially could have killed like 3 people before he ended up actually going to prison. Then killed 2 prisoners in there as well. Then faked his own death. And now has appeared again in front of the police. And they're like, he's Keyser Söze.
See, I love the fact that the police have pulled all these people in, the usual suspects, because as we find out, they're grasping at straws. They have no idea who hit this truck. So they're bringing in all the people that would be the most likely to have done it. And I like the fact that the characters that are in there realise this straight away. They're aware of the police system and they know they haven't got nothing.
Yeah.
And so they'll know they'll pretty much walk out of here. But whilst they're there, McManus is like, I got a job.
Oh, yeah.
And now that we're all here, you can all be in on it. And, Keaton's like, no, fuck you, I don't want anything to do with it. But he soon gets talked around. And it becomes sort of a running joke that every time Keaton's done a job, he's done. He's walking. Unless you offer him a really good job, and then he'll be like, yeah, I'll stick around. But it's sort of, he'll always just say no first, but then he'll take it.
That's it. He wants the money just to be able to leave.
Yeah.
And, change his name, change his life, and actually attempt to go straight. But every time he tries to, the police are there, and it ruins all of the plans that he's got.
See, the film is so intricately written and believable as well, and it helps that the screenwriter actually worked for a detective agency.
Wow.
And so all of the things he learnt from there, it just bled into the script, and then it's no surprise that he won the Oscar for Best Screenplay in 1996. Of course, Kevin Spacey would also win Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars the same year.
I say he'll flip you.
He'll what?
Flip you. Flip you for real.
Yeah, I'm shaking. Come on.
Okay.
Answer my question.
And you hit me in the back. Hello?
I also love the fact that we get to watch each one of them individually interrogated.
Yes.
And we know that during the lineup, they have to say something. And you listen to them all deliver their lines, and then, and one of the lines was cocksucker. And yet when you watch them all interviewed separately, it's only Pollock who calls one of the cops a cocksucker.
Yeah.
And then you're like, maybe it was him then.
Yes.
But the film quickly moves on, where the rest of the group now start performing these heists throughout New York.
Oh, well, I mean, they have that one major. They have the New York's finest taxi service heist, which, really opens your eyes to how corrupt some police departments can be, where these police officers are picking up illegal immigrants with diamonds or drug bosses from other countries, and are actually just being paid to drive them around the city and drop them off places. And the crew that we're following finds out this information and thinks, you know what, we're going to fuck the police back. We're going to hit this place. And they do. But they have to leave New York straight after that. So they go and do another job in Los Angeles, because obviously they're waiting for the heat to die down in New York. And then after that, the next job is the boat in California. But that cop car sequence, I mean, it's so well filmed.
It is expertly filmed. The cinematography is brilliant. Bryan Singer's gone on from here to do a lot of action scenes with superheroes.
Yes.
And I think his craft really was just honed in right here in Usual Suspects. These heist sequences are short and sweet.
Yes.
But the camera work and the pacing and the editing is just perfect.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I was watching this and I was just like, yeah, Bryan Singer, didn't he do X-Men and all those films? And then it reminded me of X-Men 1, where there's that cool little twist in X-Men 1 where you think Magneto is taking that whole time to try and get Wolverine. And then you realise, actually, no, he's after Rogue. And you're like, and I was sat there watching Usual Suspects and I'm like, he did it again! That's amazing! But yeah, that whole heist sequence, I love. They're all sat there with they've all got their tights on their faces. They've all got the guns. I love the fact you got Verbal just kind of casually sat in the back of the van, you know,
smoking
all the way through, you know, Uzi in the hand, and it's like they say, it's like a big fuck you to the police department.
Because the chief gets pulled in, and then the people working under the chief. So basically, everyone got fucked from the top down.
Yeah, everybody got investigated, but now they've got to get out of here. They've got to sell these diamonds to
Redfoot. Yeah.
Yeah, Redfoot, the fence in Los Angeles, and that's where we'll you know, hide for a little while. We'll let it all cool down, and then we'll come back. Because Keaton, obviously, he just wants the money, and he wants to go back to his lawyer girlfriend, who a lot of people obviously think is she's the reason why he's managed to get away with so much, because she's protected him all this time. And they won't believe that he's actually in love with her. They think he's a sack of shit, you know, he's a scumbag, and he's using her. But Gabriel Byrne delivers this emotion throughout his scenes. Every time he's looking at, I think it's Ellie, every time he's just looking at her, he doesn't have to say anything, but he's got this look in his eye like, I don't want to leave you because I love you, but I have to do this to try and give us some kind of life in the future. When they get to Los Angeles, they meet up with Red, and he gives them another job. You know, go steal this money and this stuff from this guy Saul. And it just fucking... It becomes a big issue then when you've got 3 dead bodies.
Bad day.
Come on, let's go!
We then get introduced to Pete Postlethwaite's character. He is the lawyer, Kobayashi, and he's the one who gave Red the job for the usual suspects. They catch up with Kobayashi, and he literally drops the bomb on them that in your lifetime you have all stolen from Keyser Söze, and you all owe him. And you can see that 4 of them are absolutely fucking terrified. And it's only Verbal who's like, who's Keyser Söze? Who? And it's when he drops that briefcase on the table and he says, look, here's a gift. And they go through all of their own personal folders and realize, oh fuck, they know everything about us. They have been following us this whole time.
I also love that you find out here that Pollock was the one responsible for hitting the truck at the beginning, which originally brought them all together.
Yeah. Yeah, and you start to question now, like, right, okay, this guy's a Söze. They say he's a myth.
He's got shit on all of them now.
But that's not mythic. That's not imaginary. He's got everything on us. And they start looking at each other, start pointing their fingers. And this is where obviously we go back to the present, and Verbal starts telling the backstory to Keyser when he was back in Turkey. Oh my God. I mean, I've watched a lot of mafia films, a lot of gangster films, but that image of Keyser Söze walking into his home and having to kill his own children and his wife in front of his enemies and then burn his house down. And then, was it Verbal says? He went and killed all the other mafia members, killed their families, killed their friends, killed people they knew, killed people that they owed money, burned down their houses, and then went underground. And I'm like, that is one cold motherfucker.
That's a film in itself.
Yeah.
He lets the last Hungarian go. He waits until his wife and kids are in the ground, and then he goes after the rest of the mob. He kills their kids, he kills their wives, he kills their parents and their parents' friends. He burns down the houses they live in and the stores they work in. He kills people that owe them money. And like that, he's gone.
And so, yeah, having this story, this myth being told to the usual suspects, they're like, well, I guess we better do this job.
Yeah, but Finster, he's like, nah, fuck this. You know, Benicio del Toro's character, he's like, right, we're gone. And he ends up dead. So now the guys are like, we're going to go get Kobayashi. We're going to go get him, and we're going to tell him we're not doing the job. Fuck this shit. And you've got that cool little hit sequence, you know, where McManus is in the elevator and they cut the power and he silently kills the 2 bodyguards. And they get hold of Kobayashi, and he doesn't break. He's not a weasel. He's actually like, honestly, if I disobey Keyser Söze, that'll be worse. So fucking kill me. I'd rather be dead than go back to my boss and tell him that you're not doing it.
But before you do kill me, there's something I'd like to show you. And he leads them further upstairs. And he reveals to Keaton his lawyer girlfriend, who's sort of under protection right now.
Yeah.
And she's not going to be under protection for much longer unless Keaton and the gang go and do what Keyser Söze wants.
I love that bit where Pete Postlethwaite turns around and says, you know, I could kill your girlfriend, and Verbal, I could get your uncle killed, and Mr. Hockney, I could have a family member of yours killed, and Mr. McManus, maybe I'd only castrate your nephew. And I'm like, and that's in the film. I start to go, is he Keyser Söze? You know, is he? Because Pete Postlethwaite delivers himself so well that you could start to really believe, right, he's masterminding this, he's orchestrating this, he's in control of all of this. But then there's a part of me that goes, no, he's just a minion. He is just the deliverer of the information. Because as we start to learn more, Keyser Söze does not show his face. And if he does, you're dead.
If I see you or any of your friends before then, Miss Finneran will find herself the victim of a most gruesome violation before she dies. As indeed will your father, Mr. Hockney. And your Uncle Randall in Arizona, Mr. Kint. I might only castrate Mr. McManus's nephew, David.
Or you will end up dead. Because we keep flicking back to the hospital. There's one survivor from the boat who's got burns across 60% of his body. And the police are interrogating him as well, trying to get the information out of who Keyser Söze is, you know, what happened on the boat. But he's Hungarian. So, you know, kind of along with the film, you're waiting for them to decipher all the information from that guy. And I kind of love that because I'm like, where's this fucking information? We're still getting it. Why is it taking so long? Because he doesn't speak English. Oh, fuck!
I love the fact that they bring in someone who can do the sketch, the image of the face, and as soon as she sits there and is ready to start taking notes, we cut away. And I'm like, I want to see the face. I want to see who it is.
But that's it. He's, you know, the Hungarian mafia man has to give the information to the translator. The translator has to then translate it to
but the
woman,
translator's also getting just a few things wrong because in Hungarian he says we had to get the man, and the translator translates it so we had to get the package.
Yes.
And so there's just little bits of bits that are just not translated properly, which is what's causing the delay there.
Yeah. We build up to the finale, and the gang have been told, look, there is $91 billion worth of cocaine on this boat. You know, we want you to go in there and kill everybody because Mr. Söze says so. You can keep the money and do whatever,
then walk.
and then walk, and your debts are repaid. And it's like we said, that whole New York's finest robbery at the beginning was just a taster. Now we've got McManus on the sniper rifle. We've got Hockney with the explosives. And we've got Keaton just ready to just walk in there and just start blasting people left and right. And it's the way he says to Verbal, stay here. I don't want you getting involved. I want you, as soon as it's all kicked off, get the money, get the fuck out of here. Tell my girlfriend I did what I could. Because they know as well, this is a suicide mission. There's far too many guys in there for just the 4 of us. And that's where you start to go, right, that's why Verbal's still alive. But, and this is where it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. If you've not seen The Usual Suspects yet, stop this review now, go and watch it, and come back, because we're about to talk about the ending.
It's such a great climactic action sequence.
Oh my God.
Just, you know, they're just running around this boat. They're trying to find the cocaine. Pollock sort of looks over at this truck. And he goes wandering over to it, and he looks in the back, and he sees these crate loads of money.
Oh, see now, I noticed in his face, he decided to leave him.
Yes.
He decided
when
to
he
leave
saw
him.
all that money, he was like, aha!
Yeah. But he'd made the decision down on the dock. He'd seen McManus and Keaton get onto the boat, and he was just like, you know what? Fuck this, I'm out of here. And he's gone up and he's got the money, but then, bang, he's shot in the back. And there's that beautiful kind of light on his face. And the first time I saw it, I thought, oh, it's just to reflect that he's died.
But I think it's the light of revelation that at that instant he's just seen Keyser Söze, and then you're dead.
Yeah.
And then we have McManus and Keaton wandering around the boat, and they're like, "There's no fucking cocaine."
Oh, that sequence in the engine room.
Yeah, it's like there isn't any. It's a bullshit. This is a trap.
Yes.
Let's get the fuck out of here. And they go running around, and before you know it, McManus gets a knife in the back of the head. Yeah. But you don't notice that straight away because he comes wandering out and then just slumps.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of the film, we saw a body with a knife in the back of his head. And now we've realised that was McManus. So it's only Keaton and Kint left alive. And we keep cutting back to Kint in the interrogation room.
Yeah.
Just giving his explanation as to what happened. And what we're seeing now almost looks slightly different from what we saw at the beginning.
Yes.
Because this is now... What we saw at the beginning was what happened. And now what we're seeing is Kint's interpretation of events. And we see it play out again to the point where Keaton is killed and Kint was sort of undetected by Keyser.
Yeah, he was hiding behind he was hiding behind some barrels and some rope. But I love the way that it reflects back to Cujon, who is just insisting and pushing Kint to say, Keaton was Keyser Söze. He never liked you. He was never your friend. And the emotion from Kevin Spacey, like, yes, he was. He was my buddy. He loved. No, he didn't. He did this. He did that. He's a piece of shit. And it quick flashes to now you're seeing Gabriel Byrne dressed up in the Keyser Söze outfit, and you're like, was he? Is he? I don't understand what's going on. We find out that Ellie has just been found dead with 2 bullet holes in her head, and you're like, oh fuck, she's dead too. Fuck, Keyser Söze is still alive. What the hell's going on? And then, you know, Cujon says to Kint, we can protect you. Keyser Söze won't be able to get you. And Kint's just like, fuck this shit. You can't protect me. I'd rather take my chances out there. And he gets up and just walks out. And he delivers that really cool line where he's like, fucking cops.
Fucking cops.
And then Cujon is sat there on his buddy's desk, just looking at the backboard. And he starts noticing little bits of information from the posters. Same kind of information that he got from Kint regarding the story. And there's that beautiful shot of the coffee cup falling and smashing. You know, the revelation starts to come on his face. You start to hear the replay of the script over and over again. Little bits of information you're picking up. Kobayashi written on the bottom of the coffee cup, and you're like, what? And he starts running out after Kint.
You also get to see the printouts are coming through
of
the sketch of Keyser Söze, and strangely enough, it looks a little bit like Verbal Kint.
Yes.
You then see Verbal Kint getting his possessions back, and you see him pick up a gold watch and a golden lighter.
Yeah.
And then he sort of, you know, limps outside the station and starts walking away, makes a little bit of distance, and you're watching his feet, and then he's not shuffling anymore.
Nope.
What?
He's walking straight.
He was Keyser Söze!
He was! And it's that part as well where Cujon's like, I will make sure that every criminal and every cop everywhere will know the name Verbal Kint. And it's like, there is no Verbal Kint. He was Keyser the whole time. And he gets into the car and he's gone.
That's the end of the film.
I put that up next to Kevin Spacey's performance in Seven. His performance of John Doe to his performance of Keyser Söze. Wow!
Yeah, there's a lot of hints throughout the film as well, though, that let you know that it was Verbal Kint the whole time. Verbal Kint actually is, when he's interviewed, he mentions that Keyser Söze had a Turkish and German mother and father.
Right, yeah.
And Verbal Kint can roughly be translated to King Blabbermouth.
Yeah.
But if you also take Verbal Kint, you can also look at it as translating roughly to a Turkish word for Söze is sort of verbal. So, and Kint looks very similar to King.
Yes.
Which is Keyser.
Which is Keyser.
So,
yes,
so his name is giving the clues away.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a scene when Detective Cujon is drinking from his coffee and you see Kint look at the coffee mug and he reads from the bottom of it, Kobayashi. There's a couple of times, one of my favourite scenes in the film actually is when he's being interrogated and he's talking and the detectives walked behind him and he just starts smiling. Kevin Spacey's just smiling, knowing that he's bullshitting. As soon as the cop comes back around again, his face just goes dead. And you're like, oh, it's beautiful.
It's like as well that he's the man with the plan. That's what they say at the beginning with the New York's Finest Tax Service, is that, oh, I've got a plan that where nobody will get killed, but they need you, Keaton, to be with us. And all of a sudden his plan works, and I'm like, we don't, if you flick to the end when they're like, you're stupid, you're a cripple, and I'm like, he's not. If he managed to pull off this idea, there's that way as well when everybody in the room, when Kobayashi has delivered the news of Keyser Söze, everybody else is scared apart from Kint. How is it he's the only one who has never heard of Keyser Söze? Is it because he's so low down the ladder?
Or that's what he's imitating.
Or that's what he's imitating because he's looking at the guys like, what have you heard? Who do you think I am?
I love the fact that this film also lies to you. It tricks its audience, especially with its camera work, especially at the end when Kint goes running across the pier. And as you said, he disappears behind the ropes and the barrels, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He actually stopped behind the car. And the camera just kept moving to trick you into thinking that's where Kint went. But he didn't. He went back onto the boat to go and kill Keaton.
Yeah. See, now that's the thing. As soon as Keaton left him, he got changed.
Yes.
He got changed and got on there. And it's the beautiful thought then that he's managed to stealth all around that boat, take out McManus, take out Hockney, take out the package that was on the boat, take out any other guards that he's come across, and then take out Keaton.
Brilliant. I have many favourite scenes in the film. The lineup at the beginning. It was supposed to be a super serious moment in the film which sets everything up.
Yeah.
But the actors were having such a fun time filming this lineup. And it also, there's the story that one of the actors kept farting throughout every single take.
That's why Keaton's holding his nose like this.
It turns out, I think that it was Benicio del Toro who farted more than 12 times during all the takes. And so all the actors just kept laughing and laughing and laughing. And Bryan Singer was like, you know what, this is fine. This actually works.
Yeah.
It's breaking the tension and you're all bonding with each other. And that scene is brilliant. The conversation after the lineup, where they're in there and McManus discusses the job and his confrontation with Keaton, just the electric energy between the actors and the characters, love it. The heists, the montages of them doing their jobs. I love the shot of McManus sat on top of the elevator looking down with the guns.
Yeah,
so, just brilliant. As we've said throughout the film, Kevin Spacey's being interrogated throughout the entire film, and we go through the whole circle of emotions of the detective trying every different possible angle of approach
to break
try and break Kint and get this story. And so throughout the film, the interrogation goes on, and it's powerful actors just delivering stellar performances. And I guess my last favourite scene is when Kobayashi's giving them the briefcase and they open it up, and every package that they pull out is actually listed in order of deaths. So the first one out is Fenster, all the way down to the very last package being Keaton, and the last one being Kint, who of course doesn't die, but his character dies because we know he becomes Söze. So there's just so many brilliant bits in the film that just make you want to rewatch it, and just you pick up more and more things as you go, and it just adds to this film. It's not one of those you've seen the twist ending, you don't need to watch it again. It's one of those where you can keep watching it and keep finding things that are hints and clues as to the whole picture.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I had a lot of those favorite scenes. I mean, the lineup, yeah, absolutely brilliant. I love Benicio del Toro's, what the fuck? What you saying? Do it in English. Oh, fuck. The New York taxi service scene, is absolutely brilliantly executed. Pete Postlethwaite as Kobayashi, he's cold, he's calculated. He doesn't give a shit about these criminals because he works for one of the biggest criminals in the world, possibly, and he just, will just deliver the information he's been told to. Keyser Söze's backstory, though, fuck me. That would give The Godfather fucking nightmares.
I wholly recommend The Usual Suspects. I was a big fan of film noir, and Bryan Singer was hugely inspired by films like Double Indemnity. The whole film feels like a noir film, but just colorized. And through the use of the lighting and the camera work, the pans, the camera tricks coming in and out of the coffee pot, there's so many tricks to the editing, the lighting, the framing. It just captures that smoky, dark atmosphere, but it keeps everything well lit.
Yeah.
I love it. The slickness of the editing, just the match cuts and jump cuts, just fantastic. The music is so good.
Yes.
It has that complete air of mystery throughout the film. The whole package together, as I've said, it's rewatchable. The performances in this film are all on point and literally launched the careers of most of these actors. And, all these years later, this film, some people will say, this film is overrated. And, but it's not. This film has a twist ending which doesn't spoil the experience. And it's not one of those films where if you knew the ending, you'd be like, I don't have to watch it now.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's one that you can rewatch again and again and just really enjoy the filmmaking that's evident as you watch it. You just get swept along with this gripping story and powerful performances. It's great. It really is.
Yeah, everything that he just said times 20. I mean, the performances are fucking phenomenal. Camera work, script, editing, lights. This film, I could almost say is absolutely perfect.
I just thought it was interesting as well that, a lot of people look at Roger Ebert as one of the most successful critics of our time.
Yeah.
And he hated Usual Suspects. It was one of his most hated films that he ever saw. And he gave it 1.5 stars and said that this film was a mess, that it makes no sense, and that when you do make sense of it, what did you get from it?
A fucking amazing experience, you fat fuck.
Well, I don't have to get personal. It's just to say that some people will not enjoy the film. And it doesn't make you a bad person.
No, but like I said earlier,
it is a particular niche type of film.
Yeah, like I said earlier, if you're not into crime thrillers, you won't get anything from this. That's what this film is. It's a crime thriller.
Yeah.
If you're not into crime thrillers, you're not gonna get anything from this. So don't even bother. But even if you're not into crime thrillers, but you love amazing performances, any of the actors, all of them are brilliant. They're on par. I mean, Kevin Spacey maybe just takes it because he's technically the lead, but Gabriel Byrne's just behind him. Baldwin's just behind him. Pollock's behind him. Cujon's behind him. All of them are all jockeying for that top spot.
Just as an add-on, I also thought it was hilarious that after the first screening of the film, Gabriel Byrne stormed out of the theatre.
Why?
Pissed. Why? Because he was told he was Keyser Söze. And Bryan Singer, Kevin Spacey tells the story of how Singer had to go outside into the parking lot and he argued with Gabriel Byrne for nearly 30 minutes to explain to him why Kint was Söze and not Keaton the whole time. And so I just love that. All the actors thought they were Söze.
Yeah.
It was only Spacey who knew from the start that it was him.
Who's Keyser Söze?
Oh, fuck.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. And like that,